Hello, and good morning or good afternoon, depending on what part of the world you're connecting from. My name is Jesus Nava. I'm the Director of Client Training and Education here at TradeStation. It is a pleasure to host this event and present the training content for this Getting Started with TradeStation class. Today we're going to dedicate the 60-minute class to the trading platform. So we're going to show you some of the functionality and some of the features that are available on TradeStation and how you can get up and trading as quickly as possible. Before we get started, here's some information about this class and how we've structured the content. There are three parts of this class. Right now we're doing the trading platform. It's repeated every Tuesday at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time. But then we alternate between web and mobile and Option Station Pro. Today at 12 noon, we're going to do Option Station Pro. So if you're an options trader or would like to learn about how to trade options on Option Station Pro, we have a 30-minute presentation starting at 12 p.m. Eastern Time. The green button right there that says register, click on it right now. It'll take you to the registration page for that class. It does require a separate registration than the one you did right now. Also, I wanted to ask a question to the audience here. We have about 75 people connected here in class, but I just wanted to get an idea of the audience. Give me just a moment while I prepare this question. The first question is this your first time attending a Getting Started class? You can, answer right there on that poll question by clicking on yes or no. Just want to get an idea of it. If it's the first time you come to one of our classes, and as every Tuesday we have about 80% of you are attending, for the first time, and I do want to take this opportunity to appreciate the time that you're all dedicating to learning about TradeStation. And for those of you that are coming a second time or a third time, you're welcome to you as well. Remember that this class is repeated every single Tuesday for that same reason, so that if you feel that you need a refresher or you need to look at other examples, you can always register for this class as many times as you need to. So thank you everyone for participating in the poll. I do have another question that I want to ask you guys, and this is more in the sense of how long have you been using TradeStation? Are you just getting started? Has it been 1 to 6 months, 6 to 12 months, or 1 year or more? Just want to get an idea of how the group is made up. And as I expected, the majority of you have just started using TradeStation, which is great. This is a basics class, introductory class. Even though we do, take the presentation to some little bit more complex topics, you're going to see that during the presentation, and that's something we do to benefit all the different levels of expertise on the trading platform. So thank you everyone for participating. I do see that a lot of you have shared your location, so we see that we have a group of people connecting from all over the United States and also from all over the world. So thank you for those of you that have taken an opportunity to join us in this class and learn about TradeStation. Before we get started, here are some important disclosures. Keep in mind that every symbol and idea that I talk about today is only for educational and demonstration purposes only. They are not recommendations of TradeStation. Also, active trading is not suitable for everyone. It should only be done with risk capital, and this is more so true when you trade options, which carry a high degree of risk. I'm going to share 2 links in the chat that go into more detail about the risks that are associated with online trading. You can click on those links to learn more about those disclosures. All right, at the bottom right corner, right there where the yellow marker just showed up, that's a documents folder. We have some links there and some documents that you're welcome to explore. So click on that folder when you get a chance, and we have some important links there as well. As I talk over and discuss the topics in this presentation, I'm going to reference some of the links there. So somebody asked about what are we going to cover today. I'm going to show you some functionality of TradeStation, specifically how to navigate the platform. The differences between Windows and desktops, we'll talk a little bit about that. And then we'll jump over to the matrix, showing you how to place trades, how to do simple market or limit orders, and also more complex orders like OCO and OSO. Once we do that, we're going to jump over to charting. I'm going to show you how to do technical analysis on TradeStation, how to draw trend lines on TradeStation, and how to turn on alerts as well. And the very last topic is going to be a little bit about scanning and how to use radar screen to scan for real-time alerts criteria that you may be looking for on a universe of symbols. So let me switch over here to my TradeStation platform. I'm using TradeStation 9.5. This class is being recorded, although it's not on the TradeStation website, because we want you to come to the class and participate from the live interactivity that's available here in the chat window. Once in a while, I'll glance over to the chat and see what the questions are. And if the questions are topical or related to the topics that I'm discussing here, I'll be glad to answer those questions live. But if you feel that your question was not answered, I'm going to share my email address with everyone here. So give me just a moment while I type that in. Here's my email address. In case you have a follow-up question or you'd like to make a comment, you're welcome to use my email for that purpose. If you'd like to receive a link to a YouTube recording of this presentation, send me an email and I'll be glad to share that recording with you. Although we do encourage you to come back next Tuesday, join us for the live presentation, because it'll give you an opportunity to ask questions if you need to do so. All right. I see a question here. Does TradeStation have a demo version to practice? That is a question, KD, that you'd have to ask one of the account representatives. Sometimes TradeStation runs promotions that I unfortunately don't have information about. But if you go to TradeStation.com, you're going to see a phone number at the very top. If you call that number, you're going to get an account representative that is going to talk to you about all the promotions that are ongoing for TradeStation. Okay. I see a question also, will you have a Mac version soon? We're not working on a Mac version of TradeStation, although we do have some TradeStation users that are using TradeStation on a Mac. You'd have to install Windows on a Mac in order to use TradeStation. That's the workaround. All right. Perfect. Let's get started. TradeStation 9.5 is already installed on my computer. I do know that some of you are not using it yet. You do need a username and password in order to install TradeStation. So if you haven't installed it on your computer and you've already logged in, it's great. Every TradeStation account comes with a trading simulator. Now, the trading simulator serves two purposes. First, when you connect to the trading simulator, you have an opportunity to learn the functionality, practice trading on the matrix. You may not want to, play around with the functionality using your real money. That's why the simulator is there. Also, if you are going to test certain trading ideas, you want to do that on the simulator to avoid risking your own capital. How do I know that I'm connected to a trading simulator here on my TradeStation platform? If you look here at the bottom of my TradeStation, you're going to see two indicators. One is for trading and the other is for data. The one for trading is the one that tells you if you're on the simulated environment or not. If it's blue and it says trading sim, you are on the simulated environment. If you want to switch back and forth between simulated and live, double-click on that indicator. You can test that on your own platform, but if you double-click on that indicator, it'll disconnect your TradeStation. And if you double-click it again, you have to double-click it a second time, it'll give you the logon window where you enter the username and password. And on that same login window, just look at on the right-hand side, you have the two options, one for the live account and the other one for the simulated account. All right? Perfect. Let's go ahead and talk about navigation here on the platform. Let's identify some of the pieces that are visible on the platform or on the screen at the moment. At the top, you have a toolbar. During the presentation, I'm going to use some of these buttons because they serve as shortcuts to certain functionality in TradeStation, and sometimes they come in very handy. Below the toolbar is the order bar. The order bar is the manual order entry facility in TradeStation. We call it a manual order entry facility because you do have to manually go to every box, enter the symbol, enter the quantity, set up the type of order you want. For this class, we're not going to trade on the order bar. We're going to trade on the matrix. So for now, I'm just going to disable the order bar by clicking on the X right here on the left-hand side. If you exit out, it goes away from your platform. It maximizes the space that you can use for other windows. But if you want to bring it back, let's say that you want to take a look at the order bar, just go to the View menu, and order bar is listed right there at the top of the menu. You can enable it if you need to do so. The bar that follows that, it's called the Position Graph bar. I'm going to leave it up there because the Position Graph bar comes in very handy when you're keeping an eye on your positions. Right now, my Position Graph bar is blank. You see it's gray because I have no open positions. And that's why it's blank. But as we trade, and we're going to do some trades here on the simulator, you're going to see I'm going to point out the Position Graph bar, and you can see how useful it becomes when you have information up there. We have three symbols up here, the Dow Jones, the NASDAQ, and the S&P. You have full control over what symbols show up there. If you want to modify them, just right-click anywhere in the gray area of this bar and go to Format Position Graph Bar. From here, you can go to the Quotes tab, and here you can add or remove any of the symbols that are visible up there. By default, we have the three up there, the Dow, NASDAQ, and S&P, but you have full control of showing the symbols that you'd like. Okay? All right. John, I'm seeing your message about you sending me an email last week, and it was undeliverable. I'm not sure what happened. Check the spelling of my email address. Sometimes, that you may have inadvertently, mistyped it. But if that's not the case, send, let's take that offline and see if after the class I'll send you a text on the chat and see if we can work something out, okay? To get the position graph bar, it's also available in the View menu. The same way that you enable the auto bar, you also have the ability to enable what's called the position graph bar from here. All right? All the windows and all the trading apps that you're going to want to launch in TradeStation are available in this little tab. On the left-hand side of TradeStation, it says Trading Apps. If you click on it, it opens up a menu with different buttons that I can click on, allowing me to, create any type of window. For the most part, I like to take that little tab and move it elsewhere on my platform. If you click on that tab and you move it up here, you can see how you can drag it and put it anywhere on your TradeStation platform. I like it there on top because it works as a drop-down menu and it doesn't interfere with any charts that I have here on the left-hand side. But again, this is something that it's a personal preference. You put the trading apps in any location where it's most comfortable to you, if it's on the left, on the top, on the right-hand side, as long as you know where it is, because a lot of the trading apps that we're going to open are going to be available inside this Trading Apps menu. Starting with chart. You see, I'm going to click on Chart Analysis from this Trading Apps menu, and that's going to open up a chart for me. The chart in my TradeStation works as a regular window where I can click on the title bar and drag it to any location that I want. I have a maximize, minimize, and X button to X the window out. I can click on a corner and resize this window by clicking and dragging the corner to any place. You can see that you can make any window any size you want, and the information inside it, of course, is going to readjust based on that size. If you want additional chart windows, go back to Trading Apps and click on Chart Analysis again, and that'll open up a second chart right here in this view. I want you to take a look at something. If you look at the bottom of my TradeStation, there's an untitled workspace. So as you open up windows in TradeStation, they're all going to be contained in this workspace tab at the bottom of my TradeStation, where I can open it, I can switch back and forth between the tabs, and I can save it. So if this is a setup that you'd like to save, so that TradeStation remembers what you had open, so that next time you log on to TradeStation, everything that you were using appears again, you have to save your work. But before I do, let me do some arranging. I'm pretty sure that you will enjoy this functionality. If you go to the Window menu, you have some Arrange functionality that will pretty much space your windows inside your workspace. I like the Arrange All. When I do that, notice what happens here with my two chart windows. They are organized side by side, and they fill up all the workspace area on my screen. So if you open up multiple windows and you want a quick way to organize your windows, Go to the window menu, and you have some arrange functionality there that comes in very handy. To save a workspace, very important. You need to save the work, especially if you spent some time creating workspaces and adding indicators and drawing tools. You want to make sure that TradeStation remembers those changes. So come over here to the File menu, and we have a Save Workspace option. So I'm going to save the workspace. I'm going to call this 2 charts. Hopefully you'll use names that are a little bit more descriptive, like what does the workspace contain, so that when you look at a list of workspaces, you know exactly what the workspace does. So I'm just going to call this 2 charts. I'm going to click on Save. And if you look at the bottom of my TradeStation, my tab is named 2 charts. This has been saved to my computer, so next time I log into TradeStation, it'll open up automatically the same way that I left it. All right. Let's go ahead and create a new workspace. I'm going to use the first toolbar button right here. You're going to notice that when you take your cursor, your mouse cursor, and you put it on top of any of these buttons on top, it'll give you a tooltip. So it gives you an idea of what the tooltip does. Very helpful, because sometimes we look at the icon and we're not sure what it means. But put your cursor on top of it, and this one in particular tells you, oh, new workspace. So if I click on it, I open up an additional tab right here at the bottom of my TradeStation, which is great. I can switch back and forth between the tabs by just clicking on the tabs here, as you would do on Excel. Very similar. And on this particular workspace, I'm going to go here to my trading apps, and I'm going to click on Matrix. Matrix is going to be my order entry tool of choice. Okay, I like it. It offers you different data views. We're going to talk about the Matrix in a little moment. But for now, I open up the Matrix, and I go to the File menu, and I save the workspace again. Not again. This is a new workspace. I'm just going to call this the Matrix, and I'm going to click on Save. Okay, so now I have 2 tabs at the bottom. There's no limit to the number of tabs that you can have there at the bottom, and it works great when it comes to organizing your work, so you can create different views in TradeStation and save them as workspaces. Okay. Ricardo, if you have 2 computers, I see your question there. How can you save work from one and transfer it to the other? There is a feature in TradeStation called the backup utility. This is also good for everyone. It's very important that if you spend some time creating your work, that you also worry about saving a backup, just in case something happens to your computer. You don't have to recreate everything. So you go to the File menu, and there's a Backup Restored TradeStation, and you go to Backup TradeStation. This will save everything that you customize in TradeStation into one single file. Take a look at it. If you still have questions, send me an email. We have a video on TradeStation.com that talks about backup utility in TradeStation, and you can take that file to a second computer and restore your TradeStation, and you'll have exactly what you're working on. Okay? John, the Matrix button was over here in the trading apps. The trading apps usually appears on the left-hand side, and you have a matrix right in there. Okay? Jerry makes a good point. Nowadays, computers are very sophisticated. And one of the things that I like about computers now is that you are able to support multiple monitors. Like over here on this computer that I'm using to broadcast this class, I'm using 2 monitors. I have the projector on one side where you're able to see me, and then I have my other screen here where I'm running TradeStation. If you have a computer where you can attach multiple monitors, that's great, because TradeStation has a functionality that allows you to run another instance of the platform and put it on a second monitor. How do you do that? You come here to the File menu, go to New. We don't want a window. We don't want a workspace. We already know what that is. We want a desktop. When you click on New Desktop, let me just bring it over here so you can see it. It opened up on my second monitor, but I'm just going to bring it over on this one so you can see it on the projector. You see, this is like running another TradeStation platform that I can just click on the title bar and move it to a second screen or a third screen or a fourth screen that I have. So by creating multiple desktops, you can have, TradeStation laid out in different screens on your computer. Okay, let me go ahead and close this desktop and continue using the one that I'm working on at the moment. Ronald, I see your question, saving to an external hard drive. Yes. In fact, if you like the backup utility in TradeStation, I do recommend and suggest that you take that file and move it outside of the computer. That's a real backup. Something happens to your computer, you have a backup on a USB flash drive or external hard drive, or you can even email it to yourself, like an attachment. That way, you know that you can always recover your work from your backup. Okay? And Donald, a good question about versions of TradeStation. When you create a backup, yes, if you're going to restore that backup, you have to use a version of TradeStation that is the same or older. It's backward compatible, but it's not forward compatible, which means that if you save a backup with a new version of TradeStation and you try to restore it on an older version, it's going to work. But if you try to restore it on a newer version, it's going to say file not supported. So keep that in mind. So TradeStation needs to be updated in order for that to work. Okay, let's go ahead and continue here. We talked about navigation. I'm going to jump over to trading because I think that what matters most to TradeStation users is how to trade and how to use all the functionality that's available for trading. Okay. Steve, Steve is talking about web-based version. We have a version in TradeStation called Web Trading. If you have questions about that and you send me an email, I'll send you a link to the recorded version of that class. The web trading class is not until next Tuesday, so if you want to register for that too, we'll have the registration links at the very end of the class. Okay. Okay. All right. I see the questions about security issues. It seems like more of a technical issue. A lot of the technical issues that you have with TradeStation are going to be resolved by our technical support team. So whenever you have a question on TradeStation, and this is something for everyone, give client services a call. We have a team that's dedicated 24 hours a day, 6 days a week to answer questions about TradeStation and help you. If you get stuck with the platform, if you have any technical issues, they'll be able to resolve those issues for you. The number is on the website, and again, they're available 24 hours a day, so you can always give them a call to resolve any technical issues. This is the matrix. Just to give you a little bit of a tour of what you're looking at, because once you learn to trade on the matrix, I'm pretty sure that you are not going to go back to the order bar. This is a lot of information here on the matrix, which is a good thing. Sometimes it's bad if you're learning how to use the matrix. Once you get used to it, it's going to be great to put in your orders. Blue column, the buyers. Red column, the sellers. So if you want to buy into something, you go to the blue column. If you want to sell something, you go to the red column, buyers and sellers. Inside the blue column, you see some numbers. The numbers you see there, this is level 2, or what's called market depth. It allows you to see how many shares or how many contracts are being offered at that specific price. So when I look at this 9,000 or 8,000 updates in real time pretty fast, that is the number of shares that are being offered on the buy side at $35.62. We have buyers that want to buy it at $35.62. The sellers, on the other hand, the sellers always want a higher price, and that's why you see them all stacked up going up, because sellers always want a higher price. Somewhere in between, buyers and sellers are going to agree, and that's going to be the trade price. So where you see that yellow highlight, that's what the trade price is occurring. 35.62 is the last traded price for what? For Intel. If you look here in the top left corner, this is a chart, or this is a matrix of Intel. The number you see on the inside the yellow is the last traded size. So 100 shares were reported, 155, 200, 300 at the price that is highlighted in yellow. It's great to put your orders in here because you're going to place your orders in context with how many shares are on the buy side and how many shares are on the ask side. Some of you may not have all the numbers that I see on my matrix. You may not have all the numbers that I see on my blue column or all the numbers you see on the red column. It's because these are data packages that TradeStation makes available and you can sign up for. It does require you to select the packages and add them to your account. But for the most part, you should see at least one level, which is the inside bid and ask. All the other levels are part of market depth or level 2 that you need to sign up for. Let's go ahead and talk about what else you see here. If you take a look at the green bar right there at the bottom, that is the low of today. And if I scroll up, I'm going to see a similar bar right up here, 35.92, which is the high of today. So not only you see the buyers and the sellers, you see the range of the day. What is the highest price and the lowest price? You also see the opening price of Intel. What price did Intel open at? Well, look over here, find the green mark on the left-hand side, and Intel opened up at $35.84. What else? Here on the right, you see volume. Volume represented in two ways, in a graph form and also in a specific number. So when you look at the green bars over here, that's volume being traded at each one of those price levels. And you can see at a glance that the price that has been traded the most is $35.63. That's the highest volume. The shade, if you're asking about the shade of the green, as the volume becomes older or earlier in the day, it's going to acquire a darker shade. So lighter shade, it's new volume. Darker shade, it's earlier in the day. And then you have the specific number of contracts or the specific number of shares that have been traded at each one of the levels. So you do have a lot of information here, but that's the best thing about the matrix, that you're placing your orders in context with what's happening in the market. One question that I do get a lot here is, what is the blue number right there in the middle? It has a V to the left of it. Right now it's a coincidence. It's right on the yellow, so you may not be able to see it, but if we see a change in price in a moment, let's just wait right there. You see how the V and 35.66 is highlighted in blue? That is a calculation that happens from the beginning of the day. And that price that is highlighted is what traders call the VWAP. VWAP. It's an acronym. It stands for volume weighted average price. So it takes the high and the low. It's the average price of today, but weighted with volume. So volume weighted average price. A great calculation. Some traders use it as a support resistance value or as a way to get out of positions if they need to do so. So if you're not familiar with the VWAP calculation, you may do a search engine and look it up. There's a lot of documentation on the web that talks about how to use the VWAP in your trading. Let's trade. If you're interested in Intel, in this case, let's buy 100 shares of Intel. Let's say that I want to do a market order. I want to get in right now. Well, if you want to do a market order, you're not going to click on any of the prices here because you are specifying a price. If you want to do just a straight market order, look on the right-hand side. Right here on the trade bar, you have two buttons. One that says buy market and the other says short market. So by clicking those buttons, you're sending market orders to the market. Here at the top, you have the quantity. So I did say that I wanted to trade 100 shares. I'm going to lower that down to 100. I can type a new number in. Or as you continue using the matrix is going to remember all the quantities that you've used in the past. And you can just click it from this history box right below it. Makes it very convenient. And also, I look at the type of order that's being sent. Well, if I'm clicking on buy market, I know the type of order that it is. I want to click it. As soon as I do that, I get filled. If you're doing it on your TradeStation, you probably get a confirmation window. Confirmation windows are good. It tells you what the order is going to be of. You know how many shares you're going to buy. It tells you the estimated cost of your transaction. But in this case, you didn't see it. You didn't see it in my matrix because I disabled confirmations. And if you become familiar with the matrix and it gets to a point where you want to disable that confirmation, maybe because you want the one-click order entry functionality and bypass that confirmation window, take a look at that confirmation window because there's a check mark right on that confirmation window that allows you to say, hey, don't show me this again. And that's what I did on my matrix. And that's why when I clicked on buy market, the order went through automatically and I got filled. Let me show you a couple things about my position and how you can keep an eye on what's happening here. Look at my position number up here at the top of my matrix. It says position 100. So I know that I have 100 shares of Intel. It also gives me the open P&L. How much money am I making or losing on Intel? But it's hard to look at this value. I'd rather look on the left-hand side because the matrix, once you open up a position, on the left-hand side, there's a column that tells you P&L. And you can see it in color. Right now, I'm losing $4. The horizontal bar that you see here, that's my entry price. I got filled at $35.67. The current price is $35.62, so I'm losing 5 cents per share, or $5. Also, at the very top, notice that I get a box for Intel. We talked about the position graph bar. Every time you open up a position in TradeStation, you're going to see one of these little graphs show up at the top. I like it because it tells me if the position is making money or losing money. If it's red, I know it's losing money. Inside the box, it tells me how much money it's losing. It's losing $5 as we speak. It also tells me if I'm short or long the symbol. Right here, I'm long because there's a plus to the left. We're going to do a short trade in a moment. And on either side, like the -5 here on the left-hand side and the 0 here on the right-hand side, it's giving me maximum profit, maximum loss, which means that at one point my position was losing $5, which is what it's losing right now, but it hasn't made any money since we entered this position. I'm going to leave my position up here. I'm going to switch the symbol over to something different so we can show you additional trading functionality. I see your comment about your buttons being grayed out. Not really sure what the problem could be. Make sure that the matrix indication at the bottom is green. You know, sometimes you have the matrix open. These buttons are very sensitive to clicks. So if you want to disable or lock your matrix momentarily, you can double click on this matrix indicator at the bottom, and you see how the matrix turns red. It disables order entry, so it's like a protection if you want to lock your matrix momentarily. I'm going to double click it again, and that's going to unlock my matrix or any other order entry tool. Okay, Robert, if you're missing this trade bar, right click on your matrix. Doesn't matter where you do it, right click, and it's called the trade bar. So view trade bar needs to be checked, and that gives you this menu on the right hand side. All right, let me switch the symbol. Changing the symbol, something very important. How do you change the symbol to something else? Let's see, do we have any futures traders? Because I know that many of you trade futures. I'm going to switch over to a futures contract, ESH 17. Oh. Okay, so we have a few futures traders. TradeStation is responsive to keyboard commands. So when you type, let me go ahead and get rid of this matrix and open up a new one. I get this issue every class where the matrix stops responding, and I just need to exit out and reopen it. Sometimes, you know, creating the window again helps, and the matrix, since there's not much customization to it, you just need to close it and reopen up a new one, and it's exactly the same way you left it. As I was going to say, changing the symbol is something very important. You want to trade something else. I'm going to switch over to a futures contract for those that are futures traders. The functionality that you see in equities and for futures is exactly the same. Matrix doesn't change. A few things here and there, but everything that I'm doing for equities you can do on futures, and you can also do on options, which is interesting. To change the symbol, use your keyboard. I was going to say that TradeStation is sensitive to keyboard commands. So if you're a keyboard person, which I am, I do a lot of things with the keyboard, I type the symbol in. So ESH 17. If you notice, as soon as you start typing on the keyboard, the information is going to go up here. There's a white box on the top of TradeStation called the command line. And TradeStation is going to recognize that as a command. You see the symbol in there, so when I hit enter, you see how it changes the symbol on my matrix. And this is true for every symbol that you want to load up to the matrix. You type the symbol in, hit enter, and it will load the symbol for you. Okay, let's do a short trade on the S&P E-mini. If we're going to do a short trade, we're going to do a selling transaction, so we got to go to the red. Very straightforward, very simple. Remember, buyers on the blue column, sellers on the red column. And if you click on the red column where you don't have a position, let's say that we don't have a position on the S&P E-mini, and you click on the red, it'll take you to a short trade. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. You know, you're either a buyer or a seller. And if you want to sell short, come over here to the red. So I'm going to come over here to 23.25, which is the price that I want to short the S&P at. I come over here to the red. I haven't clicked, but if you look on the left-hand side, you can see how it says sell one limit. When I click there, the order goes through. And this is one of the reasons why I like the matrix, because I can see the order right here sitting in the orders column. So when you see that gray box, that means that there's an active order waiting to get filled at 23.25. And you can see how the order relates to the current market activity. And if I see that yellow moving away from my order, I can change it. You know, it's very, very sensitive to that. How do you change that price from 23.25 to something closer to the current market activity? Matrix makes it very simple by allowing you to click and drag that order to different locations. I'm going to click that order and drag it over here to 23.23. Notice that I'm just clicking and dragging. It's a total of 2-point difference. I can see it right there. As soon as I release the mouse button, the order's moved. Click and drag allows you to change any order from one price to the next. If you were on the order bar, it would require more clicks. It'll be a little bit more confusing. Here it's very visual. Just click on the order, drag it to the location you want, release it. And that cancels the original one, places a new one. Let's say you want to cancel the order. Canceling is very simple too. Put your cursor on top of it. Notice how it says cancel order. I haven't clicked on it, but it gives you an indication of what it would do. If I click here, it gets rid of my order. It goes away. Quick cancel. If I want to put that order back in, I just click here on the red and the order goes through again. So the functionality is very straightforward, very simple to use. Okay. All right, let me take a couple of questions here. Peter, can you do stocks on the futures accounts? No, you need separate accounts for that. You need a futures account and you need an equities account. Both of the accounts are going to be connected to your trading platform, so it's very easy for you to switch back and forth between stocks and futures, but you do need a separate account if you want to trade both assets. Brian is asking, what are the gray bars at the bottom of the matrix? I'm pretty sure he's referring to these gray prices that are here. The gray prices that you see right there at the bottom is prices that have not been traded today. So the low of today was 23.1975. Anything below that has not been traded today, and that's why they're gray. Okay, so it gives you a very good visual of what's happening to the market today. And Robert, if you want to do a market, remember that you have the two buttons here on the right-hand side, buy market, sell market, which gives you a straight market order instead of selecting a price. Okay, let me do one more trade here. I know that my order's up here at 23.23. The price is moving away from my order. What I'm going to do is I'm going to force my matrix to give me a fill. And I know that there are buyers at 23.20. There's like 500 contracts, 300 contracts being offered at that price. If I bring my order and I drop it in there, I'm going to get filled. So let me go ahead and bring it down right here on the inside bid and release. Oop, I missed it for a moment, but still I got filled. I see this red horizontal because that is my entry price, 23.20, and I see P&L on the left-hand side. Look at the top. I see a position graph bar for the S&P E-mini. So you see a combination of stocks and futures positions right here at the top, and you have full control of adjusting that if you want to do so. Let's do one more trade. I'm going to switch over here to a different stock. Let me go here to Bank of America. So BAC, hit enter. All right. This is Bank of America, currently trading at $23.84. All right. Let's go ahead and place a more complex trade, which I'm pretty sure everyone will enjoy. I'm going to put in a trade for 1,000 shares of Bank of America. So I'm going to click right here on the quantity box for 1,000. I'm going to make the duration a GTC. Remember, you have durations here. GTC, for those that are not familiar, is an order that stays in the market until it gets filled or canceled. Okay, so if you want something that remains not only on today's trading session, but days after that, make sure that you change the duration to GTC or something that has an extended period of time in its life for the order. Okay, so this is a GTC order for 1,000 shares of Bank of America. I want to buy it at 23.75 right here. 23.75. I want to join this group of buyers, but I want to do something interesting. I want to put in an order. I may know that I'm not going to be right here watching the screen at all times. So if I do get filled at 23.75, I want my position to monitor itself. And let me rephrase that because you may not know what I'm referring to. It's with an OCO, I'm able to set a profit target and a stop loss, which will monitor my position and exit if one condition is met. So in your mind, you have a certain profit that you want to make, and you have a certain loss that you can tolerate. We can specify those amounts in an order so that you don't have to sit here and watch your position because you've already set your targets and your stops. How do we do that type of order? We do that with this checkbox that says Attach OSO. For those that are not familiar, OSO stands for Order Sends Order. So you have a primary order to get you into the market, but at the same time, you're sending some exits that will control your position, monitor your position, and close it out at two different scenarios, if it makes money or if it loses money. So let me go ahead and put a check here, Attach OSO. I'm just going to show one example because of time limitations. But if this is something that interests you, we have plenty of videos on the education side of TradeStation that explain this in more detail. Right here, Attach OSO, I'm going to come over here to this drop-down because you have different exiting templates that the Matrix makes available to you. I'm just going to choose a simple one, which is an exit bracket with one limit and one S. One limit and one stop. That's what the 1L and the 1S mean. I'm going to take that template. If you want to see how far away the target and the stops are, click on the ellipsis here on the right-hand side, and it gives you this dialog, which the price offset. For stocks, it gives you 10 cents. So I'll have a target 10 cents above and a stop loss 10 cents below. For futures, the number that you see there is not going to be points, it's actually minimum increments. So if you're a futures trader, think of the price offset as minimum ticks. For stock traders, it's just a dollar amount. In this case, is 10 cents above and 10 cents below. I'm going to click OK to this. I'm not going to change any of the settings here. I'm just going to use defaults. I just want you to see the functionality. So we did say that we wanted to buy at 23.75. So I'm going to click over here, buy 1,000 limit, and take a look at what happens. With a click of a mouse, I was able to place 3 orders. My primary, which is the gray box, to buy Bank of America at 23.75, and then I have a target at 23.85, and I have a stop loss at 23.65. Those 3 orders are connected. What happens to all of them affect them in a group. You have an entry order, and then you have the brackets that monitor your order. One more window that I wanted to show you, which is a control center for your trading. I know that I'm running a little bit fast, is because I do have a couple more topics that I want to cover before the class is over, and I can always share a link to a video of this class if you feel that I went a little bit too fast. Over here, I'm going to open up a new workspace. Remember that we have that toolbar button right here on the top, and I'm going to come here to my trading apps and open up the Trade Manager, because the Trade Manager is like the trade control center. So if you're looking for information on orders and positions, the Trade Manager is going to help you. So Trade Manager. All right. The Trade Manager is going to default on the Orders tab. And I'm clicking on this little button on top, which is Increase Font Size, so that you can see it better on your screen. This gives you a history of every single order that you've placed in your account. So I wanted to show you this window because sometimes you want to say, where do I look at my orders? Well, here you have the filled orders. You have active orders, and you have queued orders. The Trade Manager makes a good job at giving you a color coding. So at a glance, I can see, oh, the white are my active orders. You can see how the order status is received. The green ones are queued. Remember that these queued orders are contingent on my primary Bank of America order. So they're going to be queued until the one or the primary one is filled. The good thing about this setup is that it is on the TradeStation order execution server. So we are going to be monitoring those prices. Even if you shut down your TradeStation, those orders are going to be safe at the TradeStation server, and we'll monitor those values for you. Okay. Jerry, I see your comment about a more specialized type of order. Yes, it is possible. If you want to maybe send me an email on that particular order, I'll give you some tips on how to do that. Okay, and Tanner, I see your comment about web trading. Web trading we discuss next Tuesday at 12 p.m. Eastern Time. But if you'd like to see a video recording of the class, send me an email and I'll share that link with you so you can watch the video before the class if you want to do that. Let's go over here to charting because I want to do a couple things in charting before the class is over. Charting. Oh, by the way, I just resized the window and I'm using my up arrow key to expand the view. This is something that I'm pretty sure you'll enjoy. Up arrow key on the keyboard expands the bars and you can see more details. Down arrow key on the keyboard, you can press it several times and it compresses the chart for you. And I use that a lot. And you can use the scroll bar here on the bottom to move left and right in the chart. What I like about charting in TradeStation is that it keeps track of all your trades and it shows you where you entered and exited the market. You can see also a line here showing you your P&L. It shows you where you entered, where the market price is, and is also a nice visual of your chart. If you want to disable this information, let me show you where that functionality is, because sometimes if you're a day trader and you're in and out multiple times throughout the days, sometimes these little signals will clutter your chart. And if you want to do some technical analysis, you want to disable it. You may want to disable it. So let's go and right-click on the background. And this feature where you see your trades is called Format Account Orders and Positions. And just click on the status and that turns it off. I'm going to click OK. And then you see how the information goes away. But you can always turn it on. Same procedure. Right-click on the chart, Format Account Orders and Positions, and you can enable that information. Okay? My email address, before I forget. It's right there in the chat window in case you want to send me an email. If I don't get to your question, do not take it personal. It's just that we didn't get to it. Just send me your question again via email and I'll be glad to respond to you directly via email. Some technical analysis. If you're looking for MACD, Bollinger Band, anything that is an indicator in the technical analysis world, that is going to be in the Insert Indicator dialog. So whenever you're thinking about indicators, go to Insert Indicator, and it takes you to a dialog with hundreds of things that you can insert on a chart. Let me show you one example, and then every single indicator is the same. The formatting, the parameters, everything is the same. Let me put this moving average to line, and I put it here right on the chart. You can see how the two lines are working for me. They may not be the parameters that I want. This is using default parameters, which is 9 bars and 9 and 18 bars. What if you want to change it? One tip is to double-click on the lines of the indicator. That'll take you to the formatting of the indicator. So always remember that whenever you want to format something, double-click on it. And this is true for most of things in the chart. If you want to format, let's say, Intel, you double-click on the candlestick. It takes you to Format symbol. If you want to format the color of the chart, you double-click on the background. It takes you to the Format Window dialog. But in this case, I want to format is the moving averages. So what I do is I double-click on the line, and it takes me to the Format Indicator Moving Average to Line. So just keep that in mind that depending on where you double-click on TradeStation, it'll take you to a specific formatting dialog. I do that all the time. Quick shortcut to formatting. First thing, inputs. Gives you the ability to change the parameters. I can say, give me instead a 30 and a 50 bar moving average on those two lines. Once I click OK, you can see how the lines recalculate, and now I'm using a 30 and a 50, and this is true for every time that you use this indicator. You just double click on it and you can change the parameters at any single time. One more thing about indicators. What we're looking for on an indicator, or in this particular one, is for the two lines to cross. Let's say that you're setting up your charts with different indicators. You have a MACD, an RSI, a Bollinger Band, but you want to be alerted when any of these indicators triggers the alert. Because that's the whole idea of keeping track of analysis techniques, for you to be alerted when something's happening, especially when you have TradeStation set up with different chart analysis windows. You have 10, 20 different charts. You cannot look at all the charts at the same time. So what you do is you turn on alerts for indicators. And let me repeat that. You have to turn them on because they're off by default. All alerts are off. So nothing's going to happen in your TradeStation unless you turn it on. How do I turn on an alert on the moving average to line? I double click on it and I go here to alerts. Very simple. Alert is already programmed into the indicator. You just have to come over here and enable the alert. Oh, and of course, you have to choose how do you want to be alerted. I mean, do you want a pop-up window? You want a sound? You have a configure button that allows you to pretty much choose any type of sound, any type of pop-up window, or even an email to be sent to you when something happens on the chart. All right, so remember that alerts need to be turned on. But once I turn it on and I click OK, this is working for me. So I can come over here to my matrix and look at my orders and things that are happening here. And I know for a fact that my chart is working in the background. And as soon as the two moving averages cross in real time, it'll give me an alert. All right? So keep that in mind when it comes to technical analysis. Let me go back here to charting. One more thing that I wanted to show you here is drawing. You have a full drawing menu with things you can draw on the chart. Most of the time, you're going to want a trend line. So I'm going to click on trend line from here. And I'm going to click on a low point over here and another low point right here. So I create my trend line right there. See, we have an uptrend. What if I wanted to be alerted when the price penetrated that trend line? That would be cool, right? To be alerted when there's a breakout on a trend line. Well, the same way that you enabled alerts on an indicator, you can do it on a trend line. So what do? You double click on it. So I'm going to double click on this trend line, and I have the ability to go to alerts and enable the alert. When the price activity touches or penetrates that trend line, I'm going to be alerted based on the configuration you choose. And this is true for every drawing tool that you use. If it's a trend line, a horizontal line, a vertical line, Fibonacci tools are all available right here in the drawing menu. If you are the type of person that draws a lot, you use them a lot, there's a drawing toolbar that you can enable. In the view menu, toolbars, drawing. So view, toolbars, drawing. It allows you a toolbar right here on the left-hand side with shortcuts to drawing tools. Trend lines, horizontal lines, vertical lines, Fibonacci's, arcs, and everything in the drawing menu. I'm going to come to the view menu again, toolbars, and click on drawing to disable it. Okay. We have about 7 minutes before we finish the class, and I wanted to save these 7 minutes on one of the features of TradeStation that it's impressive, if I can say so. It's impressive because you have the ability to have a list of hundreds of symbols, and you can have TradeStation monitor those symbols, and TradeStation can tell you what's happening to those 100 symbols. Let's take one thing. Let's take one analysis technique as an example. Okay, let's go ahead and let's say that we're monitoring the moving average to line, but we want to monitor that moving average to line on a group of 100 symbols. TradeStation can tell you which one of those 100 symbols are crossing at this precise moment. Let's go ahead and set up our scanning to do so. I'm going to come over here to a new workspace. Okay, I'm going to click on Trading Apps, and I'm going to open up Radar Screen. Radar Screen is an optional service in TradeStation. If you didn't sign up for Radar Screen and you come over here to Trading Apps, this button will say Quotes. But Radar Screen is far more powerful than Quotes, and I'll tell you why. I'm going to come over here to Radar Screen. And when you first open it, it looks very empty. There's nothing in it. I'm going to insert a list of symbols, and TradeStation provides you with packaged list of symbols that you can insert to make some analysis. So come over here to the Insert menu and click on Symbol List. I'm going to open up the TradeStation symbol lists and go to Index Components. For this example, I'm going to use the NASDAQ 100. gives me a nice size of symbols, 100 symbols that make up the NASDAQ index. I'm going to click OK, and the symbols go right here on the screen. Let me resize this window so that we can see all of it. So all the symbols are added to my radar screen. If you're looking at the yellow flashes, those are symbols that are trading at this moment. So every time that you see a yellow flash, that means that there's a trade on that symbol. I'm going to make the font bigger so it's easier on your eyes, okay, by using the button here for increasing the font size. And one thing that sets radar screen apart from any regular quotes window is this column right here, interval. When we say interval, we think of a chart, because you can change the interval of a chart and make it a 5-minute, make it a 1-minute, make it a daily chart. You can do the same thing here in radar screen. Why? Because we're going to be able to follow technical analysis in radar screen. Specifically for this demonstration, the moving average to line. So I'm going to come over here to the insert indicator dialog the same way that I did in charting, insert indicator, and I'm going to locate the moving average to line. Right here it is. I'm going to add it and move it down and then click OK. This is calculating the moving average for all the 100 symbols that I have here in my radar screen. So in a couple minutes, this is like creating 100 individual charts on a 5-minute interval and calculating the moving average for each one of those symbols. Let's say that I want to do the moving averages but on daily data instead. I'm going to click on the symbol header to highlight all the symbols. I'm going to click on this change interval little button on top, and I'm going to make the interval daily. You can see how the interval changes to daily. The values here for the moving averages change because they're using daily data. And now I'm going to turn on my radar screen so that it does real-time monitoring and tells me out of all these 100 symbols, which ones are the ones that are crossing at this moment, because that's something really interesting to me. I'm going to right-click on my header for the moving average to line. I right-click on the header because I want to highlight or format the whole column, and I want to format the moving average to lines for all symbols. And notice how you have the alerts tab the same way that you have it on the chart. I'm going to enable the alert. I'm going to disable the sounds and the pop-ups. Remember, that's 100 symbols. I don't want to get crazy pop-ups if the market, makes a big move suddenly. So I'm going to disable the pop-ups and sounds. I'm going to click OK. And this will add a little blue corner on every single cell, letting me know that there's an alert enabled. And every so often, I'm going to see a yellow marker like I do see for the symbol at 43.49. Everybody sees that yellow marker? That means that that symbol is triggering the moving average alert right now on the current bar. So that's a real-time alert. And as I scroll down, you're going to see several symbols that have that yellow marker. And that's the way that radar screen tells you, hey, these are symbols that you need to pay attention to. Let me take this one step further. Because instead of having me to scroll up and down looking for the symbols, can I make my radar screen group those symbols to the top? Most certainly. I'm going to right-click here on my radar screen and go to Format Page, because there is a sorting functionality here that allows you to sort on any value, but I want to sort on the moving average to lines alert. So any alert that's being triggered is going to be sorted to the top, and I want to keep that data sorted every 30 seconds. When I click OK, all the symbols that are triggering the alert are grouped at the top, and I don't have to look and scroll up and down to look for those symbols. One more feature that I'm going to show you, because I want to look at those symbols on a chart to make sure that the condition is true. So I'm going to resize my radar screen, and I'm going to create a chart next to it. I'll do this very quickly so that you know, oh, not the matrix, I'm sorry. Trading apps, and it's going to be chart analysis. Okay, so we have a chart right here. I'm going to resize it so that it's next to my radar screen. I'm going to change the chart to daily using one of the buttons here on my toolbar. I'm going to disable account orders and positions, and I'm going to insert the same indicator that I have in my radar screen. I just want to make sure that the alert is correct. Okay, so The moving average goes here on my screen. I'm going to use window linking, which is a way of connecting windows in TradeStation, and I like using this functionality when I have a watch list because you can click on the symbols on the watch list and have the chart update at the same time. These are the buttons for linking. I'm going to click on the S for symbol on my chart and the S for symbol on my radar screen. So when I click on the top symbol here, you can see how the chart changes to that symbol. It's a beautiful thing. If I click on Fox, you can see how Fox is loaded right here on my chart. But the most interesting thing is that look at what's happening over here on my moving averages. There's a crossover. So if you're looking for crossovers on a group of symbols, radar screen is the tool that's going to allow you to find those signals in real time. If I click on another symbol, let's say that I click on this MNST, which is Monster Beverage Corporation, you can see how the crossover is happening at this precise moment as well. Is it a good trading signal? It's up to you to determine, but the functionality here is great if you're looking for certain events that are happening in real time. One thing, parentheses, for those that are fans of technical analysis and calculations, you're not limited to what is supplied with TradeStation. As a TradeStation user, you have the option to create your own custom analysis techniques and bring them over here to radar screen as well, so that instead of a moving average to line, you want to use your custom work and be alerted on custom criteria. You can create that in TradeStation using a language that we call easy language. Okay, let me see some of the questions here before I end the class. Okay, Katie, I see your question about account size to trade 4 contracts. I would send that question over to the account representatives. They would be more informed about what size account you need. They have the minimums and so forth. So give them a call. The number is, again, TradeStation.com. Look at the top of the page and you find the number there. Miriam, if you're looking for a tool to measuring the trading size, let me show you quickly how to do that. You see this trend line right here that I drew from this point over to this point? If you want to measure that, those 2 points, that's already done by the trend line. If you click and hold the trend line, notice how you get this data tips window showing you great information. And some of the information is the angle, the net change, the percent change, the bar count, and the time span. So all that information is available by just drawing a trend line from one point to the other. George, yeah, there is a way to disable the flashing. Send me an email and I'll show you, well, actually, let me just show you here. If you want to disable the flashing, right-click, go to Format Page, and the General tab, there's an update indication that you can enable, and it gets rid of the yellow flashes. Michael, the difference between radar screen and quotes is that radar screen allows you to insert technical indicators. Same indicators you find in chart, you can insert on radar screen, something that quotes does not allow you to do. Okay? All right. If you're interested in hotkeys, LJ, send me an email and I'll direct you to a link to a video that explains that functionality in detail. Reginald, Forex accounts live are not available at this precise moment. However, we do have a simulated environment to trade Forex if you want to test, some Forex trading, but we currently don't have live Forex accounts. Okay, let me go ahead and give you my email address one more time. Okay, if I didn't get to your question, we already passed our 60-minute line, and I wanted to make sure that I close the room and reopen it for our next class, which is in about 25 minutes. We're doing a class on OptionStation Pro. If you're an options trader and you haven't registered for the OptionStation class, please do so right now. Click on that third button right there for OptionStation Pro to register for the upcoming class at 12 p.m. Eastern Time. If I didn't get to your question, please send that question to me over email, and I'll make sure to respond to you directly on an email. So thank you very much for your time. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being part of the TradeStation family. And I hope to see you on a future event right here at TradeStation. You all have a great day. Thank you. Bye-bye.